Hello, everybody. I am today talking to you about kids' games. People always are asking me about kids' games and, what are good kids' games. So let's take a look at some modern kids' games that have come out, and I'll tell you what I think about them. 7 of them. Let's go. Flashback Lucy is a sort of sequel to Flashback Zombie Kids. This is the same, it's a different story, and you don't need to play Zombie Kids to play this, but it's done the same way. Flashback is a game in which you have cards and you look at them, and by looking at these cards, you'll find other cards, and you're looking at different scenes from different perspectives, and you are trying to figure out what happened story-wise. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to try not to spoil too much. I'm going to show you a little bit of stuff just so you understand how the game works. But you'll be going through a book here. So you start, and you're Lucy Strange, who's 15 years old. It talks about something. She gets a letter. It also gives you some mini cards, and mini cards are going to be placed on here. And I don't want to spoil all the mini cards. Just know that sometimes a mini card will show you half of a symbol. This is a mini card. And you can connect these symbols sometimes to various things here, which will do something. Eventually, you'll go through the vision itself. And the vision itself will show you a big card like this. And so you see this person, they're looking at 9. So you can take card 9, and 9 is looking at 11. So you take card 11, and 11 is looking at 7. But that's where we'll stop for here. But you might have a little question here. So this shows 1 as what happened to the owner of the cap. So you need to figure out what happened to the owner of the cap. And you're going to need to answer these questions at the end of a chapter. And each of the chapters ties together and ends with a pretty big storyline. There's a lot more. There are a bunch of these large cards. There is a ton of the small little cards. There's more stuff in this book. And there's even maybe a few other things. But that's kind of how the game plays. You're just working together, talking through about what you can see, what symbols you can see, what things go where, etc. I gave Flashback Zombie Kids a very high review. I liked it a lot. Flashback Lucy is a game that I think is good. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. But the other one I gave a higher rating, and I want to explain a few of the differences here. First of all, you have to know going into this, Flashback Lucy is a pretty dark story. It says 8+ on here. I honestly don't know if I agree on that age rating. I mean, everyone has different ages for kids, but there's some dark things in this that it's almost teenage, at least in my opinion. But you're going through and doing this story. It's a stronger story than Zombie Kids. But this one is neat. Again, I like the system. The idea of looking at cards, figuring things out, going through. This one also jumps through time. You're going back and seeing Lucy's great-great-grandparents and then the next generation and so on and so forth, and it tells a cohesive story. So that's very good, and it's neat to find the different cards, and the symbols in this one do a great job. I was disappointed a little bit in this one in that Flashback Lucy doesn't have a way to go back and replay. Flashback Zombie Kids, when you finish the thing, you can go back and kind of replay again with new information and find things you didn't find the first time. That's not as prevalent in this one. But some people are going to like this one better just because it has a stronger story and the main game is probably more cohesive. Like I said, it's good. You are basically, you're a witch. Or maybe you're a witch. I don't know. That sort of thing is going on here. It's interesting. It's definitely a cooperative game where there's a lot of talking going on. So I like that aspect. That's Flashback Lucy. My little first sale is an economic game where you're selling pencils and erasers and all sorts of things to other children. I guess you're starting to scam in school. You want to buy these pencil cases? That sort of thing. Let's take a look at it. In this game, players are going to be selling items to customers. Each round, you'll bring out a certain number of customers, depending on how many players are in the game. And these customers want different things. This is a bad boy. So I draw another card on top of him, another bad boy. This bad boy wants an eraser. Bad boy wants a crayon. Then this person wants a ruler, wants a crayon. Another bad boy, it's not a good turn. He wants a pencil box and an eraser. So after you see this, there's going to be a small drafting round where players are going to draft some cards into their hand. They'll already have some cards. And they're going to be filling their shelves with various items. So let's say these are the ends of my shelf. They also can move these things around, putting them here. Let's say I do this. We then reveal what we put out here. So this crayon person, they want to buy crayons. So they're going to go to the person who's selling crayons for the cheapest. Well, I'm selling crayons for a really cheap price over here. -2. Let's pretend that's 2 minus 2. So I'm selling them for free. So there's that. But they're going to come and buy the crayons from me. If there's a tie between the cheapest, then they look at these gold, silver, and bronze to break the tie. For still a tie, you go by turn order. And that's the case. The bad boy comes, but he doesn't pay nothing. He just takes it. Now, you're going to be collecting these customers, and you're going to be scoring points for them at the end of the game, or money. You're trying to get money from these people. As you can see, I put mine out poorly. I'm not going to be making much money. I might make 1 from this pencil box and 2 from the ruler. But you're trying to make money, and at the end of several rounds, whoever has the most money is the winner. Man, I really wanted to like this game. The idea of teaching kids economic principles is pretty good, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I like the idea here. I'm selling this pencil for 2, and you're selling it for 3, so guess what? They're going to buy mine first. The problem with this game is first of all, it's really lucky. You get a bunch of pencil cases or pencils, and the kids out there all want to buy crayons, and the one kid who wants to buy a pencil case is just going to come in and steal it for no money. That luck is too high. But also, it's just too tight of an economic game. Are you kidding me? Like, tight economic games are great for adults. Who on earth thinks they're good for kids? Like, you saw on this thing, like, oh, I sold this pencil for 2. And how much did the pencil cost me? It cost me 2. So I made no money on it. Oh, I can sell it for 3. And I bought it for 2. I get $1 off it. Yay, you're teaching your kids that, but you kind of want to let them have some income. And it feels depressing. So the artwork and the cutesiness of it are neat, but also the tiebreakers are kind of just completely random because so many people are selling things for the same amount of money. You know, I'm selling this for 2 and you're selling it for 2, but I put a gold on it and you put a silver on this one. And so I beat you, and then there's a lot of turn order breaking because everyone knows the best things to buy. I just found it to be a disappointing game in general. This one is a 5 out of 10, my little first sale. Yeti Snack. Have you ever messed around with ice cube trays? Well, the people who made this game did. Let's take a look. Each player gets one of these Rubbermaid things. I guess if this game doesn't work for you, you can always make these weird round ice cubes. And you're going to have a deck of cards here, and you're going to put these poker chips. These are pretty solid poker chips that show 4 different ingredients inside this. And then you're going to turn over the top card of the deck here. And you do whatever it says. So this says only the green and the blue can be visible. You're going to do this by folding. So there I got yellow and green. And so now, if I do that, I cover up the yellow with green. And then if I do this, there we go. Done. And that's pretty much the game. You can fold. You have to be careful, though, because sometimes you're going to fold yourself into a position that's unfoldable. If I have them all on top of each other, it doesn't really matter. I can fold there like that. So these cards, I showed only those 2. These mean they all have to be stacked with the yellow on the top, the red on the bottom. These are the only 3 available. You might have some where you say you can't see these 2, which is basically the opposite of this card. These are, well, not the opposite. It's essentially the same thing. Yellow and green, red only. Can't see blue and green. And you're going to try to win a certain number of cards. The first person to finish a card will say bon appetit. And you keep going. 6 cards, you win the game. Yeti Snack is a game of folding, right? It's a puzzle game. Lots of these games are puzzles, so you're sitting here thinking, if I fold on here, and then fold this way, and then unfold this way, you can't fold diagonally, you can't do a partial fold, you can't push it up and make one poker chip and not fold the other one. There's no impossible scenarios that you're in. It's like any of these games, realize, where if you figure out the puzzle before the other people, you're going to win, and that's the way it is. But I kind of like it. It does also back you into impossible corners. You'll put a yellow chip on top of the green, and then you realize, oh, I need these split. Once 2 chips go together, they cannot be separated. You can keep folding and dropping them around, and you're like, oh, I needed the yellow and the green, and I just put them together. So there's a bit of that, but it's good. I think it might get a little samey after a while, but the quality of components is good. This falls into, Dr. Eureka and those games like that. And it is fun. The Yeti Snack idea is fun. So if you like that sort of puzzle game to work with kids, you can just give it to kids and have them solve it by themselves or play against each other. So it's fun. 7 out of 10, Yeti Snack. Star Realms Academy, my first deck building game. So this is a better or a kid version of Star Realms. Star Realms is a very popular deck building game. This one here says, hey, it's an easier version. There is no text in this game, but it uses a lot of the same principles. Does it work? Let's take a look. In this game, each player gets a starter deck of 6 cards. You're going to have 5 scouts and a viper. You'll shuffle these decks, and on a player's turn, they're going to have 3 cards in their hand. They're going to play those cards. So if you have an attack card, you attack your opponent, and they'll take one of these off their board. You're trying to get rid of all of them to win the game. If you have money, you simply take that money. You can save that money for a future turn, or you can buy a card. Each card has a cost in the top. When you buy that card will go to your discard pile. You then draw 3 more cards. Here I get 3 money on my next turn. These cards are replaced, by the way. And I decide to buy this 2 money and keep 1. So I shuffle these cards to my deck, and now on future turns, when I draw cards, hey, if I draw these cards, I get to do the things on them which are better than my starting cards. This one does 2 attack to somebody else. You'll also notice that this shows something on the bottom. So that is some synergy, which means if I play 2 cards, let's say both of these blob cards, I play them, this is going to be 3 money and 3 attack. But because I played another blob card, I get another attack, and I get to draw a card. Your cards are all going to be draw cards, attack the other, or heal. You'll regain healing points, attack the other player, and get money. Some things are bases. When you get these, you play these in front of you, and your opponent has to attack them and put damage on them equal to its shields before they can attack you. And then you get to, otherwise, you get to use this every turn. So every turn I'm going to attack my opponent for 3. And every turn I'm going to attack my opponent for 2 and draw a card if I get another blob card. And you keep doing that till one person takes the other person out completely, and that person's the winner. This indeed works. Star Realms Academy, I give this an 8.52. This is an excellent game to teach kids some principles of deck building. And you're like, I'm not here to teach my kids principles of games. You're right. It's just a fun game in and of itself. Now, in my case, my son played this, enjoyed it, thought it was terrifically fun, and we moved on to actually just Star Realms. And then we moved on to other deck building games, and apparently now he's a deck building fiend. But I like this. I like the cute artwork. Even the blob ships, which are, disturbing and nasty in the regular game, are kind of cute little hee type ships here. But it is very basic. Instead of a 5-card hand in most deck building games, this one gives you 3. Instead of you having a virtual currency, you actually take the money and you can keep it from turn to turn. It still has some more advanced concepts where if this card and this card are the same type, they work off of each other. It has the bases that are in front of you that can take damage. Although unlike Star Realms, they can take damage over time and blow up. But it's simple and easy, and I think it's a game that you can play over and over again. I know this because I have played it over and over again. So there's everything to like about this game. It's not obviously for everyone. It's for younger kids and for kids who can't read. Probably that's a better round, but even if they can read, it's still kind of a quick and easy way to get into this genre. And then you can explain to them if you want to go farther and just play Star Realms, which is a small little card game. You are attacking each other, and note that this is 2-player only. You could probably play 4 players if you bought 2 copies, I suppose, and then you would just attack the person on your left or something. But I like it a lot. I think highly of this. From the art, it's just a great little product. That's Star Realms Academy. Rumple Raider, or it's the English name of this is Knuckling Knights. Now, I've actually reviewed this game before. This is a game with a dice tower in it, or a knight tower, or a whatever tower. And this is an upgraded version that Haba has done. The original one had 1 tower. Now we have 3. Let's take a look. Now, there is a base game which uses just 1 of the towers, but I'm going to show you the full game here. The full game, each turn someone will roll a die. They're going to roll this die first, actually, and this will show them which of the 3 towers. So this is a tower we're working with. Then they'll roll this die. They roll a blue, so they'll take a blue guy and drop him in that tower. And then, nope, you don't get to put another guy out. So you keep doing this, and lots of little dudes will be dropped into the different towers. If you ever put a color into a tower, though, and that color no longer exists next to the board, then you're going to pull a tile out. Everyone's going to secretly guess a color with a tile. So I might guess blue for this one. So I guess blue. Here we go. I pull that out. There are 2 blues. I get 2 coins. If anyone had landed in these puddles, so at some point, landing in puddles doesn't count. See here, so if I picked blue, and this time I would only get 1 point. And you can even take this tile and just have them fall in the box if you want to have the thrill of falling into the box. So you'll do this a certain number of times, and then whoever has the most coins is the winner. The game comes with a little spot to put your knights, and also this, so that kids know that 10 of these equals one of these that shows 10 on it. Not sure who needs that, but hey, it's there. You can also play the basic original game where there's just one tower, you roll a die, and you put a certain number in, and you're guessing the color that comes out. This game is silly fun. You have no idea what's in there. So there's a game I like called Los Monfos from Zach, which has these donkeys moving around in a circle, eating little pebbles or little pieces of food and pooping it out, and you have to guess what color is in each donkey. This is the same thing. You're just throwing colors in, and there's a bit of memory involved, but it's not even just memory. You're just trying to, well, I mean, it is memory, but you're also just, it's the fun of pulling them out and seeing the knights fall out. And who cares? There might be 4 blues in there, and 2 of them fall down the holes and die. It's silly fun. Kids will enjoy it. The basic game is, well, basic, and it says since 2004 the original game came out, so this is a 20-year-old reprint. But the 3-1 will even work, I think, for older kids. So, yep, Haba still got it. Interesting game, Knuckling Knights. 7 out of 10. Hold Your Ground. Now, this one here is going to sell based on you pressing a button and stuff shooting in the air. That alone is going to make kids want to play this game. You'll see. At the beginning of the game, each player puts one of their people on every tile. You'll start with a few missing tiles, and then this Doom machine is underneath the center tile. Each team has a deck of cards, and on your turn, you're going to be playing 2 cards, discarding them, drawing them, and this will show you how many people you move and how far you want to move them. You play 2 cards for that, so this is not going to be particularly useful because they're going to be the same. But if I had this, I can move 1 person 2 or 2, and then there's a combat. So how does that work? Whenever there's combat, so when you move, you're just moving to adjacent spots. If you have the majority in a spot, you kill everybody else who's there. You probably don't throw them in a box like that because that's going to move this around. And other things, which also show up in a die. You're going to roll the die after your turn. Sometimes you'll have this, which means you just move this 1 space in any direction. So maybe I'll move it right underneath this thing here, because when this happens, you press the button. Are you ready for me to press the big button? So it's going to be underneath this one here. Let's put it right underneath. Slide it over. There we go. Ah, so satisfying. So the tile is gone. This person's eliminated. The blue person eliminated. The purple person goes here. The green person's here. The blue person's over here. So you can survive these. Let's hit this one here. Again, a lot of people died in this one, but this green guy survived. This red one did not come off, and they survive also. And let's try this one. And let's try this one. Now, if you are ever not connected to the middle tile by any means, then you're dead. All those are gone away. And so that's what you're doing. You're going to keep going until there's only 1 team left. You win. Or to the center tile, there's only 1 left, and whoever has the most people on the center tile is the winner. Hold Your Ground is cool to press that button and smash things. And I want to give it a positive rating for that alone. But unfortunately, I'm giving this one a 6.5. It's close, but not close enough. And the fact of the matter is, it has so many interesting mechanisms, but the game itself is just a little all over the place. So the idea of playing a card, and 1 card shows you how many people you move, and the other one shows you how far they move, or some action, that's fine. That works pretty well, and it's interesting. I find it very weird that they use meeples to show how many things you move when there are no meeples in this game. Since when has meeple become a symbol that's used for anything? That's a very odd choice. It makes me think this game was designed by someone who loves games, but that's just an odd translation. Why not just show the little plastic dudes? But I digress. You play these cards, and then you roll the die, and there's a chance explosions are going to happen. And they really are going to happen. And when they explode, stuff randomly dies or not. But what happens is you will explode it, and pretty soon you explode a hole, and half the board dies. Now, that's hilarious fun, sort of, but that was a lot of setup to do to get rid of that. And so it's pretty easy to eventually cut everything off from the middle, especially since the button thing starts in the middle, so you're going to be blowing stuff around it pretty soon. Games just feel very anticlimactic, like, it's over. I'm rushing people to the middle, and they got blown up. I mean, don't get me wrong, to press that button and see this stuff explode is amazing. That's what keeps me from giving the game a bad review, because that's fun. But it's not good enough to sustain the game. I like that concept. There just needs to be a little bit more there. So hold your ground, a battle royale game. A lot of fun ideas in it. It's just not strong enough to carry itself. Little Alchemists is a game based on a bigger game called Alchemist. Same designer, Mateusz Kocki from CGE Games. Although Alchemist came out a decade ago. Now, what Alchemist did when it first came out that was pretty neat was you used your phone as an app to scan things. And it was a deduction game to figure out what ingredients made potions. But there was a lot more to this deduction game. There was worker placement, much more involved. This game is a campaign-style game where you're gonna kind of learn the game as you go. I'm gonna give you a bit of an overview here. You'll see when we'll be right back. First of all, I want to point out that much of the game is in these boxes here. The rule book comes with a bunch of seals, and different sections of the rule books are sealed in. You're going to start with the basic rules, and then as you find sealed pages, you'll open them and they'll add more rules. Now, this is, by playing a certain number of games, you get key stickers and you'll cover them up. And we stopped putting key stickers on, and we just started opening boxes if we felt like we were comfortable with the mechanisms. And what these do is it's basically just making the game more complex. For example, these are the ingredients that you have at the beginning, and you're trying to put these together in different combos to make potions. But you notice in the back there's pieces to make this bigger. Well, that's not a big surprise there. So what you're doing over the course of the game, and the game actually plays slightly different. You're going to be taking ingredients that you have, and most games will have this, where you're going to make a potion. So you'll click Make a Potion, and then you scan with your phone. You'll scan these two ingredients, and it picks them up pretty easily. I'm doing it from an awkward angle here. And then you'll say yes. And then it will tell you what kind of potion they make. So in this case, they make a fire potion. So then I will take a little fire potion, and I will put it here between these two, showing that the combinations of these make a fire potion. And in the base game, you are trying to figure out what two potions an ingredient makes. So I know a scorpion makes a fire potion, but what other ingredients might it make? And so you'll have a little board here. So I know that the scorpion is either going to be in these 4 spots. And so as you figure things out, like, oh, this ingredient makes fire, and there's 2 potions that do this. Although, again, and this is slight spoilershly, there's going to be more combinations of potions as the game goes by. And that's what you're doing over the course of the game. You're trying to guess these. So when you have the thing here, you're making potions to figure things out, but you can also share a theory and say, okay, well, this one here is this combination. You'll confirm it, and it will tell you yes or no. And there's other things that go on, but you're going to get points for doing that. You're also going to get coins. You're going to be able to sell potions. At any given point, there's a character available who will buy specific potions for money. And after the tiles have been gone through a certain number of times, or depending on what the end game victory was going to change, you're going to get points for, well, point tokens you have and for money. So again, I know that I'm being kind of antsy here, jumping around, but what I just showed you, the making a potion and then solving it, is about most of all the games. There's just more complexities involved than that. So you'll use 2 tiles, then you'll draw some more from a central board that will have tiles on it, and you'll just keep going. I'm not going to blame you if you came back from an overview going, I'm not 100% sure how the game works. I get it. This game has all these boxes in here, and it is a full-blown deduction-style game once you open all the boxes. Don't get me wrong, it's a deduction game all the way through. This is not really a legacy game, and in fact, I'm not even worried to show you things that are in here, but this is a game where you teach your kids logic one step at a time, and it gets a little bit more complex. But I'll tell you this, I think Little Alchemists is the game I want Alchemist to be. Alchemist is a big game, but there's all this other stuff going on. Little Alchemist has a lot of that other stuff involved. There's some stuff involved in it, and they add a little bit of this, different module type things in. But the idea here is scan the 2 ingredients, which kids love. What potion does that make? After a while, you'll find out that a potion makes, that ingredient makes 3 different kinds of potions. You tell people that. You use deduction to figure it out. And other people can also guess it and get some small points on it, which is kind of an interesting idea. And then you score points. Now, the stack of ingredients, there's some other rules where you can spend money to buy ingredients. Is that worth it? Because you're giving up a point to get ingredients? Maybe, because you want to get specific ingredients. Once you know that one ingredient gives this kind of potions. I only know one potion from another ingredient, but by process of elimination, I can do that. I like all that. It is interesting because the game says 7+, but I think as you add steps, this will go beyond what a 7-year-old might want to play. It like goes to 11, 12 probably. It's kind of a weird thing because you're adding more complexity to the game. As an adult, I think the game is fun. I would rather play this over Alchemists. I want to play it with everything involved. And I see why they have these different locks and unlock systems in here, but I kind of wish there was just a game without all that unlocking and it was the full game. The app, of course, works really well. CG's always been very good with that. This is kind of an interesting one, and like, where does this fit? I think the cover says this is for little kids, but it's not really for little kids. A 7-year-old can play the first couple scenarios, but after that, it's going to get a little bit more complex. But for upper elementary, I think this one's fantastic. So anyway, this is an 8 out of 10 for me. There's a lot of things I really like about this. Definitely check it out. And that, folks, is 7 kids games. Some better than others. And 2 of them here, younger versions of the grown-up games. A lot of good kids games out there, folks. Never say you can't find good kids games. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.